Welcome back to Capitol Review. I'm Haley Mylon in for Mark Hall. This week, President Donald Trump is continuing his quest to take over Greenland. The administration hosted Danish and Greenlandic officials to talk about the situation this week. The U.S. will acquire Greenland one way or another, according to the president. The president says that acquiring Greenland is necessary for national security. NATO already maintains a presence on and around the island, but the president says that the U.S. needs to take over the territory. Otherwise, he says China or Russia will. While they've agreed to form a working group, both Denmark and Greenland remain firmly against a U.S. takeover of the Arctic island.
Important it is from our side to strengthen our cooperation with the United States, but that doesn't mean that we want to be owned by the United States.
Joining us now is Sarakshi, a reporter with our media partners at The Hill. Sarakshi, welcome back to Capitol Review. You've been covering this evolving situation in Greenland. Where do things stand right now after presidential officials met with officials from Denmark this week?
That's right. So we've seen this back and forth with the president reiterating time and time again that he definitely wants Greenland for national security purposes, and it's vital to U.S. national security. And what we saw today was a culmination of a lot of pressure on Danish and Greenlandic officials. So this week, officials from Greenland and Denmark met with Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio at the White House for this meeting. Now, all eyes, the world's eyes, were on this meeting because, you know, this is something that's captured the attention of our European allies as well, given that if the president does go through with his threats to acquire Greenland by military force, then that would definitely have severe implications on the NATO alliance. So, you know, as of now, where things stand is the Greenlandic and Danish officials had a press conference shortly after the meeting where they said that, you know, the U.S. and Greenland and Denmark have agreed to disagree basically on the issue of the ownership of Greenland, and that there are still fundamental disagreements over that, but that they're going to do a joint task force to look at new opportunities to enhance national security measures in Greenland. They're going to have these talks continue to ensure cooperation. So as of now, both sides are agreeing to disagree on the issue of ownership of Greenland.
And Sarakshi, we're also seeing some European NATO countries come together for joint exercises, purportedly to see how quickly they can respond in a defensive posture here. At the same time, the president of the United States is floating military action, or he has at least in the past. How realistic is that in becoming a factor here?
Look, no one really knows what the president is going to do. His statements have kind of sent shockwaves through Europe and the NATO allies, just given, you know, the moves that he made with Venezuela recently and the capture of Nicolas Maduro, you know, via the U.S. military. So essentially, NATO allies are taking what the president says seriously, but it's still unclear what exactly the president plans to do with regards to Greenland. We've also seen, especially in the U.S. Congress, Republicans are pushing back against the president's push to acquire Greenland by military force. They're potentially, you know, considering holding a war powers vote to stop any military action in Greenland. We've heard from, you know, senators like Mitch McConnell, who said that, you know, it would be devastating for the NATO alliance if the U.S. was to have any kind of military intervention in Greenland. We've also heard from people like Tom Tillis, who is retiring next year, who is a Republican, who said that, you know, the Trump administration officials' comments like what Stephen Miller gave to the press before the meeting were you know, showed a lack of judgment and said that, you know, this is the most important alliance that the U.S. has. So essentially, you know, some Republicans really pushing back on the president's statements on this issue to use military force in Greenland. And they are all perplexed because, you know, as of now, where things stand, Denmark and the U.S. already have signed a treaty that allows the United States to do pretty much whatever it wants in terms of military bases on Greenland. And, you know, the tone from the European officials is that that if the U.S. was to say they want to open a base or they want to do something in terms of military cooperation, then Greenland and Denmark are more than willing to kind of meet the needs of the United States. So the issue now is given that we already have this treaty, the Republicans on Capitol Hill are perplexed as to why this issue of owning Greenland is once again, top of mind for the president.
Sarakshi Rai, thank you for joining us. Quite a shift in sentiments there globally. We appreciate your time and insights.